We're live? Holy cow. Ah! We're here. We got to come up with a better system than that, though. All I get from Tshroom over here is... So that's... What a start. Welcome, everybody, to Investing Bros, the first ever live show. It is going to be a fun one. We were having some technical difficulties behind the scenes. I hope that you guys are seeing me, my lips move, and hearing the voice at the same time. We had some problems beforehand where literally it was like a full second delay. So it was about to be a very stressful stream. We ended up fixing it, I hope. Let me know if it's not. But welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel. We are so glad you guys are here. Make sure you go ahead and smash that like button. And if you are not already subscribed, which I would be surprised if there's that many people watching who are not previously subscribed. Shout out to you guys, by the way. 274 subscribers, and we hadn't even made a video yet. You guys are phenomenal. That's what gives me hope this is going to be a phenomenal channel. But I am joined across the desk from myself is Tshroom. How are you doing this morning, Tshroom?
Some might say I'm better than I deserve.
Some might say that, yes.
Some might say it, and I'm going to say it. I'm doing better than I deserve. No, I'm extremely glad to be here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a lot of work in progress. This stream, could not be possible without, just the ability to just really want to be with you guys. And we really miss you. And now we're back. And, Tim and I have discussed it. We're going to be doing it every single weekday. We're not going to be cutting into the weekends and being crazy people, but we will be doing every single weekday, just bringing it to you live, just our analysis. And now we want to talk a little bit about, what the show's going to be and what it's not going to be.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of give you a layout for today. No other show is gonna look like today. We have a system, we have a flow for every single day. But on this one, we're gonna be answering a couple questions, some pretty obvious questions. We're going to be talking about what this show is and is not going on in the future, what you guys should be expecting. And we're going to talk crypto. We're going to do some technical analysis on at least a couple of them. And we're talking about some headlines. We didn't go with us prepping everything. This wasn't the most researched day. So don't use this as your analysis for how much news and how little news we're going to be talking about. News will be a very, very heavy part of the show as we talk through it. Today, we're going to talk about a couple headlines. So before we get into some of those questions, just so you guys know what we're going to be talking about later on in the show, what are some of the headlines, Tshroom, that we are covering today?
It's a good question. Somebody was saying that the camera was jiggling side to side.
It's because the desk. Yeah,
we're going to have to figure that out. That's kind of funny.
That is good stuff.
Yeah. So what are some of the headlines? Well, the biggest one that I'd say is kind of out there right now is Coinbase is talking about delisting XRP, and they may have actually gone ahead and done it.
Well, and just for the wallet.
Yeah.
So, and we'll get into that. That's crazy.
It's gonna be pretty big. Brazil regulating BTC as payment, so that could be pretty big for sure. And then also you've got a couple other things today that we're going to be talking about. The Fed chair, Chairman Powell, is going to be speaking today at 1:30. So that's definitely something to be thinking about. And then the CME future rate tool has started to shift away, quite bearish for the market as a whole. And then Elon has tossed his hat into the macroeconomic monetary policy conversation, and he's got something to say to old Mr. Jerome Powell. So we'll be getting into those stories here in just a second.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I would imagine that the recent pump that we had last night is probably based off of the Brazilian news. I would have to imagine. I wish that I spoke Portuguese, because there is a lot. First of all, in case you guys didn't know, I assume most people know that. That's what they speak down in Brazil.
Yep.
But there's a lot of people in Brazil that are very hungry to learn about crypto, but there's almost no Portuguese-speaking influencers out there. I know there's a couple channels that actually have translated their stuff into Portuguese, but of course now it's dubbed, and it's kind of weird. Those of you who maybe watch anime are used to that. But I think it'd be really cool if there was a very big knowledgeable influencer who spoke Portuguese, because the Brazilian people are extremely hungry to learn, and unfortunately, if they don't speak English, it's very hard. And then for even the ones who do speak English, when it's not your first language, even if you speak a language, it can be hard to keep up with some of these English speaking influencers who speak fast or do crazy things. So shout out to Brazil. We're so glad for you guys for that law. Hopefully we have some laws passing here very soon as well. I think the reason the desk was shaking, so just so you guys know, the cameras are on the desk. It's probably my elbows leaning in. So I'm gonna have to like use
it was shaking my camera angle.
I'm pretty sure what I'm gonna have to do is use like very traditional like table manners. You know, did your mom ever teach you like to not eat with your elbows on the table, which is stupid hard, by the way?
We ate off the floor most nights.
Good, yeah. There we go. That saves a lot of the problems.
Throw the spaghetti on the floor, and we would just dive in there and fight each other.
Yeah, that saves a lot. That saves a lot right there.
No, which is why the camera's shaking.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's start off with a couple. There's one question that I know is a very big question. I've seen people ask it. I've answered it a couple times on Twitter. It is the saddest of them all, though. The question is, where is SMay?
Oh,
a lot of people are asking, where is SMay?
It's a tough one.
It sucks. We'll talk more about this. I'm going to talk a little more about what has happened over the last month. A lot of you guys have been asking, what happened. Of course, we used to be on Coffee and Crypto over there with Crypto Jeb, and things have changed. We'll talk more about that later. But in this transition, when we were deciding what was next for us, SMay, through a lot of prayer and just talking with his family and thinking about what he wanted to do, it was hard. You could tell it was hard on him, but he was just, I just don't know if I want to stay in crypto. Like, I don't know if I'm just not passionate about crypto. Those of you who watched his video where he kind of came out and said, so first of all, he tells all of us, we can still call him SMay. What he doesn't want to be identified as this like clown behind the scenes who just is just nothing but silly. He has a lot of valuable thoughts. He's actually a very deep thinker. That being said, he wants to express himself more and do some other things. He actually wants to go back to school. So he promised he would stop by from time to time. He will make irregular appearances on the channel because he loves us. He loves you guys. But he just said it's time for me to make a split and go figure some other things out. So he will not be on the channel. That is why it's just Tshroom and myself. But he is in our thoughts, and we love him. And so anyone who's wondering where is SMay, that is where he will be. I already said, because I'm going to try to learn the best I can to set some of this stuff up. I'm not the tech guru like SMay and Tshroom are. So if Tshroom ever has to miss his show, my first option is going to be to call SMay and say, SMay, will you come sit in and be the technical director for the show? And he's already told me, he's like, if that ever happens, let me know. I'll come do it. So look forward to those episodes. Not that you look forward to them because we want to keep Tshroom as well. But when Tshroom's gone, you might get SMay.
Yeah.
So that's the first question. With that said, before we get into some other things, let's talk about what this channel is and a little bit about what this channel is not. A lot of people are excited. We are excited about what the future holds. But I want to give you guys an expectation, maybe some vision for what we're going to accomplish here. As the name would suggest, Investing Bros. The reason we went after Investing Bros, not Crypto Bros or anything crypto related, is we do not want to lock ourselves down to just one issue. While crypto will probably be the main thing that we're doing and talking about, we want to create a platform and create a community that just wants to invest and change their lives. Ultimately, if we're here to create financial freedom, if we're here to change our lives, like what I had, you guys will hear more about my story if you don't know it already. Literally, if you want to change your life from living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck and actually get some savings and start preparing for your future and prepare for your children, investing is the way to do it. And crypto is not the only route to invest. So we will talk stocks. We will talk other options. Maybe if things get really interesting down the road, we'll dabble potentially even in sports betting. Who knows? We'll see what happens there. But it's not just a crypto-centered channel. It is an investing channel. And right now, in my personal belief, I think crypto is one of the best investing ways, investing futures. So it's still going to heavily be crypto, but it's not going to be solely crypto. I hope everyone understands. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I could just read our description.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
let's
read
do
the
that.
description. Hey there. Thank you for tuning in. We are Tim Warren and Taylor Tshroom. Join us here daily where we'll be breaking down charts and news to lead you to financial freedom through crypto and traditional assets. We are building the most engaged and largest modern finance community online. So if you are a noob or a veteran, subscribe to our channel and join the Investing Bros, which is something you all have already done. Thank you so much. That's our description of our channel. So that hopefully that should shed a little bit of light. So my background is that I traded stocks all through college, but I started in high school actually.
Yeah.
And I was kind of tracking the market even before I was legally allowed to trade through a brokerage like TD Ameritrade or Robinhood or something like that. And so from there, obviously, I dove into crypto and have learned a lot. And what I learned is that these two worlds are not, they are very intertwined. They're not isolated. They used to be to some extent, but nowadays, as you all know, Bitcoin and crypto oftentimes follows the NASDAQ. And, one of the biggest things we're looking for is when that decoupling is going to take place, when crypto is actually going to move independent of the NASDAQ and independent of equity markets and seen as more than just a high-risk asset. So, so that's the reason why, I was really pushing and I'm really passionate about more than just crypto. Crypto is definitely the future, and it's going to be really interesting to see how all these different projects wrestle and join together and fight against each other and compete in the market of money now, private money that we have, which is awesome. It's going to be interesting to see how they, kind of duke it out, and that's why I'm super passionate about crypto. And along the way, making trades, swing trades, day trades, and even investing in some of the projects I'm really passionate about is really kind of my focus for this channel. But we're going to mix it in with stocks, and I know quite a bit, and you guys are going to be able to kind of tune in and watch Tim's journey as well as he, goes into hyperdrive of learning about stocks and bonds and options and things like that as well. I don't know a ton about options. I know about them, but I've only traded them like 1 or 2 times. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I by no means do I consider myself a crypto expert whatsoever. I think I'm a pretty good trader. I think I'm pretty good at charts. I think I have some good technical analysis and a pretty good understanding of what crypto is and what it can accomplish. What are some pitfalls to stay away from, yada, yada, yada. But 2 years ago, I didn't know any of that. And so you guys got to watch over on the Crypto Jeb channel. You got to watch non-crypto Tim turn into TA Tim in front of your eyes. And I can't wait this next season to kind of maybe dive some of that same effort into stock market, traditional trading. And here's the cool thing, and this is what I know from talking to other people, is while maybe the margins aren't as good, maybe you don't get as big of jumps and as big of falls, technical analysis actually works better in the stock market than it does in crypto. So I'm expecting, as I learn more about the stock market, for all that technical analysis knowledge to transfer and really help me out there. But you guys get to go watch that as I grow in that one as well. Ultimately, more about what this channel is. This channel is not about Tim and Tshroom, the experts, listen to our every word, sit at our feet, and just take the knowledge and then do exactly what we say. That is not what we recommend whatsoever. You guys are going to be with us as we invest. Like, everything we talk about is almost like you guys get to live life with us as we're making investing decisions. You'll see where we're successful. You'll see where we fail. You'll see where we're 100% right and 100% wrong. And guess one of the things that I love about this community and what I love about the YouTube community as a whole is some of the best things that helped me grow and learn is when I got things wrong and I watched in chat and comments and you guys kind of called me out on it. You're like, hey, Tim, that's not really how that works. Hey, Tim, you kind of got wrong there. I think you need to go back to the drawing board there, buddy. Those things help, and they help me grow. So some influencers get really, really upset when people don't like them. Some people get really upset when people critique them. I see it as a very, very positive thing because, again, I don't consider myself this expert. I consider myself a growing and learning investor, and there's something that anybody could teach me at any moment, and that includes every single one of you. So this channel is not about Tim and Tshroom. We are going to be the faces of it, but this channel is about you guys and us growing together and investing together to, again, like I said before, we're going to get away from these paycheck to paycheck type of lifestyles, and we're actually going to move into a freedom of life to where we can do and say and do whatever we want to do and not have to worry about money being the problem. And that's a really, really big thing. And you'll hear more about that in the future, is that this channel is also not just about helping you make the right financial decisions. That is a very, very important detail of what we want to help you guys do. But even more so, what does a healthy lifestyle look like? Whether you're a trader, just an investor, no matter what it is, you cannot be healthy all the way around if the only thing you're good at is money. If you're not good at relationships and you're not good at personal boundaries and you're not good at your health and fitness and you're not good at your relational stuff, it does you no good to have $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion in the bank if literally everything else in your life absolutely sucks, right? So this is also going to be about what is a holistic picture of a good investor look like, that any money you make from trading or investing actually helps you live a fulfilled life and help you better people around you. So again, not just money, we're going to talk about life things as well. That's going to be really big to us. So I hope you guys are excited about that. That's a little bit about what we are going to be. Really quickly, we'll probably have to talk about more of this in the future because things will come up. But one really big thing that we are not going to be this channel, and I really, really appreciate you guys being with us on this and helping us monitor this. We are not going to be a toxic channel. We are not going to attack people, and we are not going to talk disrespectfully to each other. And we will be truthful, and we will be honest. And if someone in the, let's Jerome Powell. If Jerome Powell makes a decision that we do not like, we will talk about it. And we will talk about why we disagree with him. And we will talk about why we don't want that to be the policy. We will not attack Jerome Powell, the person. Even things like the really hot one right now, SBF. I do not like the things that he is doing. The truth is, I do think that potentially he deserves to be in prison. That doesn't mean we need to attack him, the person. We will attack SBF, the actions. I still believe that SBF has a life, that he is worth more than what some people on the internet give him. And I still hope he has a very bright future, maybe just not in crypto. Maybe it's time for him to be done there. We will not be toxic and go after people individually, go after things in their life. We will talk about truth. We will talk about issues. We'll be wrong sometimes, but we're not going to be toxic people. So I appreciate everyone who's agreeing with that, and you guys are going to help us do that because, again, this is not just the Tim and Tshroom show. We need every single one of you guys to come right alongside of us. When you guys see someone in chat who's new, I don't want to kick people out of here. We will if we have to, but I want to encourage people. If someone comes in here with some toxicity, the first step shouldn't be get out of here. The first step should be, hey man, we don't do that here. Hey girl, we don't do that here. We're here to uplift people. We're here to grow together. Us being successful does not mean someone else has to be kicked down. I believe there's a route for everybody to be raised up together, and that's what we're about here. So hey, if you want to be a part of that community, stay around, just change a little bit. If you don't, hey, we'll help you out. We'll make it really easy on you. We'll just go ahead and ban you. We'll get you out of here. I believe in free speech. But this is our community, and I'm going to protect our community, and I want to make sure that it is not a toxic place. I want, when new people come to this channel, I want them to feel accepted, loved, and say, this is a people that we can grow with, we can learn with, and I can be safe. When I say ridiculous things, people might attack what I said and say that's a wrong statement, but they won't be attacking me. So let me know in chat what you guys think about that. That's a little bit about what this channel will be and what this channel won't be. If you are excited, let me know. Tshroom, anything from you before we move forward? We can do some technical analysis here in just a second, but anything you want to add to that, take away from that, anything else there?
About what the channel is and isn't going to be, well, it is going to be fun, and it isn't going to be a bore. So that's going to be my 2 cents on that. I think Tim said it very well, helping define kind of the culture, kind of the tone of what we're trying to accomplish here. I mean, look, guys, the best way I could describe this is it's going to be a journey, right? It's going to be a journey in a lot of different ways as we embark on this bear market that we don't know how long it's going to go, and as we embark on learning to extract funds, extract profits from markets in new ways. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm really excited about. And also learning about the development of private competitive money. Guys, we're sitting right smack dab in a revolution, right in the middle, as if we were observing the invention of the railroad or the invention of the internet or the invention of the written word, right? So it's just fascinating, and there's nothing I'd rather do than cover that revolution. So we can go ahead and dive into some technical analysis, looking at the prices of these assets that are competing for supremacy, competing to be the best at what they do. And not all these cryptos are trying to do the same thing, as we know, as we've talked about. So we'll be getting into that. Tim, are you ready to dive in?
Dude, I'm ready. All right, so
look at him. He's so hungry.
We're about to jump on these charts. I'm going to put my elbows on the desk, so if Tshroom starts shaking, I'm just trying to do my technical analysis. Let's zoom out here for a second. You're on my screen here.
Yep.
So, there's a couple of things that I've been kind of changing. It's been a month now since you guys have really seen me doing a lot of technical analysis. Some things I've been changing, looking at right now. On these longer time frames, I'm actually now using the linear chart, right? So I used to do a lot of stuff on the log chart, and I'm still going to look at it from time to time. But I've been watching. First of all, you guys know who do technical analysis. Technical analysis is simply a way of helping understand the psychology of other traders. So if 1 million people are looking at the linear chart and only 500 people are looking at the log chart, let's random numbers I just threw out there. It does you no good to make all your trades and make all of your technical analysis based off of the log chart, because the majority of people are looking linear. What I am noticing, I'm seeing a lot of people in the space, if you're scrolling through social media, if you're watching influencers, there seems to be a lot more people referencing the linear chart right now. So for those reasons, I want to stay with the same amount of thinking so that we're using the same psychology. So I'm on the linear chart. Doesn't mean I won't ever bounce over the log chart from time to time, the same way I used to do a lot of log and then bounce over to linear. But for now, I'm going to actually be doing a lot more stuff in the linear chart. So in case you guys are seeing things that don't look the same, it's because this is going to be a linear chart. The first thing I'm showing you guys here, I don't know, they can see this, right? Yeah, okay. I made it green dots because I want it to, be a little smaller. There's a couple things that are really important happening right now. So first of all, going back to that dip that we had last year in 2021, it's a year and a half now. Holy cow. It seems like just yesterday we had the Elon news that sent us down and people thought that was the new bear market. But if you scroll over through those wicks, we have 3 touches on this trend line. We are not going down yet, but for anyone wondering, can we go down further? It would make sense to come down, and let me change this to a blue line. It would make sense to come down to this blue dotted line one more time. That would also kind of give us those areas, what we're looking at, those lower teens. Maybe you can get down to 11, 10,000. Keep your eyes on that blue line. It absolutely does not have to go down that low, but it is a line to keep your eyes on. I'd like to extend lines. You guys see a lot of chaos over here. You'll notice when we zoom in here for just a second why I had those lines that way. But right now, bearish scenario, it would make sense if Bitcoin has another dip to come down and maybe find support and touch that blue line one more time, and then maybe that's the bottom of the market. In the same breath, though, this green line, this one that we started with the top back here last November, we touched here back here in March of 2022, and we've actually turned this line into support. Notice when you zoom in here, I'm going to zoom in as best as I can for you guys. We actually ended up turning what used to be former resistance, even up here right to the end just in October. It has now become support. So that's another really, really good thing. I think potentially there's a good chance, with that being a falling wedge, that could have been the last time we actually touched that green line. Disaster scenario, maybe the people that call for $3,000 Bitcoin, maybe that's what happens. I'm going to leave it for now, but I'd be very surprised if we ever touch that green line again. The win for us right now is that green line that used to be resistance has been turned into support. So if you guys love that, let me hear an amen in chat. Let's zoom in a little closer and see what is happening on today. Let's go down the 4-hourly chart. The first thing that you guys should know, as we are rallying right now, keep your eyes on this zone that used to be support. The same way this green line used to be resistance, now it turned into support. Watch this zone that for so many months was a support level potentially be now turned into a resistance level as we continue to climb a little bit off of this Brazil news. But over the next couple of weeks, can we end up breaking this and turn it back into support, or will it be a sign of significant resistance? That level is going to be around 17,600. Let us know until we break through. I would even say probably more like when we break through this blue line up here, probably hitting over 20,000. I think it's a little premature to say, oh, the bottom absolutely is in. It could be. The bottom could be in right now, but there's a lot of resistance above us that could knock us right back down. And, zooming back out one more time, I told you guys we were going to go zoom in a little bit. This is something we also got to keep an eye on. It's really nice when you zoom in really close to see a bull rally, but when you're out in a macro level, to the daily chart, make this cleaner, we are still setting lower highs all the way down. The main trend is still ridiculously bearish. It's still to the downside. So until we can set a higher high, the narrative is the trend is your friend till it ends, and the trend is to the downside. Let's go and zoom in really, really close, though, and look at a shorter time frame, maybe next couple of days, maybe next couple of weeks. The cool thing that we did right here, so I drew a couple of these lines here. Some people don't like them. It's okay. You can say whatever you want. The 1-hourly chart candle closes is where this green line touches. The wicks is where that blue line touches. And of course, the red is the resistance level. Watch these 3 lines as they are continuing to be extremely, extremely valuable. We've been using all 3 of them as support and resistance at certain times. You guys can see this blue line, support, support, resistance, resistance, support, support, resistance, and now it is back as a utilizer of support. This red line was a resistance all the way down, was bounced and used as support over here. The green line has yet to be used as, well, so the green line, here we go, support, support, resistance, and now it's turned back into support. When you're doing your technical analysis, consider some of these lines, especially if they're in areas where you think the price is going. Keep them active. Extend them all the way out. There's this tool, if you're on the line charts, Ray right here, this is the tool you would use. This is what is going to give you, I'm going to make up a fake one right here. let's say I wanted to track these ones. I don't think it's going to happen, but you can just attach them 2 points and it gives you an extended line out to the future. This is kind of similar thought as the people that use like spider lines and so forth. They have data from way back in the past that's continuing to be something important. And as you guys can see, this is an example. I had all 3 of these lines drawn just this way back here on November 19th. So we are still in a symmetrical triangle pattern. The question was, what was support? What was resistance? Watch as that played out. These lines continue to be extremely, extremely, extremely valuable. And so for those reasons, I'm going to continue to hold them out. What I'm really hoping as Bitcoin moves is that Bitcoin ends up turning this blue line back into support. Maybe we find support over the next couple of days. I do think we're a little overextended. If you pull up the RSI on these lower time frames, I think there's a little more push we can get to the upside and get some more bearish divergence. But you're seeing the Lux Algo oscillator. It's a little overextended. It's flashing, hey guys, we're overbought at this point. I think it's time to have a little dip. Even if you pulled up Lux Algo, those of you guys who have it, we had a contrarian sell signal right at that peak that is saying it's time to go back down. The question, though, is will we go back down to that blue line? That would be a major win for the bulls if we came back down, let's see, around here on 16,600. I said 16,600, excuse me. That would be bullish. If we do not hold and we end up breaking, that's where this new red line that we have, a former resistance level, can we turn that into support somewhere down here? Or are we coming back potentially all the way back down to this green line? Or even more so, if the bears get a hold, come back down and retest this red line for support. Doesn't mean we can't go even worse. I'm just saying right now, watch traders respecting all of these levels. This blue line that used to be support, resistance support, watch them continue to use that. This red dotted line, green line, red line. So that is what I'm seeing on Bitcoin as far as what, these things here. The oscillators, daily chart, we're actually still pretty low. I think there's room. When you're thinking the daily chart, that means you're looking at like over the next month, 2 months. There's a good chance that we actually are going to start to see some momentum. So anyone who's saying, is the bottom in? There is a chance what we're seeing on the daily chart, say potentially, even if we continue to trade sideways or have ups and downs, maybe we won't have to go any lower than what we currently have. But when you start zooming on the 4-hourly chart, we're starting to see 4-hourly chart maybe has a little bit more to go. That kind of tells us what's happening maybe over the next week or so. I would give 3 or 4 days. We're starting to get overextended. Absolutely could go up a little further, but of course, what is a little further to the upside? That former support line now turned resistance around 17,600. Keep your eyes on that. And when we get to these lower time frames, meaning 1 hour is like, hey, I want to look at this for the rest of today. Not looking good for the bulls to continue this momentum. What is really good is that those of you who missed out on this little rally, maybe you weren't paying attention to the news when the Brazil information dropped, guess what? It's going to come back down. So I'm not telling you guys this is where you absolutely should be putting, but you could start considering putting in some buy levels at these low levels closer to this blue line, maybe somewhere around 1,600 or 16,600. If you don't think that's very strong, you want to wait. Maybe you want to wait for a bounce and then put it a little higher when you see some green candles come back in the space. Maybe you want to see if on these smaller time frames, hourly, 30-minute chart, maybe they get back down to being oversold on the RSI, oversold on the Lux Algo oscillator. Potentially, you want to then wait for that and then enter a buy signal. Either way, anyone who missed out, I do think that the charts are coming back. If you want to enter a trade or enter along here very soon, I do think over the next day or two, there will be an opportunity that presents itself for you guys to be entering back in the space. But that is what I have on Bitcoin. I'm going to pause right there. Let's see. Was there anything in chat that was interesting? Anyone have any different takes? Or Tshroom yourself, what are you seeing on that chart?
Oh, sorry. I'm sure you want to hear takes on the chart, but there was a good, interesting question. Illo Brown asked, Tshroom, is there going to be a new HODL trophy? So, we can answer that question. We haven't talked about that yet, but I don't see why Tim and I wouldn't have some trading competitions just between ourselves and between you and with you all as well. But yeah, I'll scan through and see if I can find any comments about the actual charts themselves.
Yeah, I think that would be really fun. There's no the HODL trophy was not a trademark name. I don't know if we're going to call ours the HODL trophy or whatever.
No, we can't call it the HODL trophy.
Just so you guys know, and we're going to talk more about this a little later. We also, in case you guys are wondering about this time slot, we had a lot of talks about this time slot. We really, really wanted to respect Jeb and everything. So that's why we're not going to, take the name Coffee and Crypto. I think he still calls his show Coffee and Crypto. There's a lot of things that we did before. We're not going to do it out of respect for Jeb. Those were his things. He owned that company. That was his. So we're going to take, there's pieces of who we were that we're bringing over here. But this is a fresh start, and it's partly just so we have a fresh start, and second of all because I respect Jeb, and I don't want to steal his stuff and what he had working for him, and so in case you guys are wondering how much is going to be coming over, not a lot. There's going to be a lot of changes on how we're doing things, and it's a sign of respect. I respect Jeb, and we'll talk more about that here in just a little bit later for those of you who are wondering what happened there.
Alex Green did also say, I think I'm going to start using linear. I remember an analyst talking about using what everyone else is using. That's what you want to analyze. I wonder what others use. So
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't have data. I don't have like a chart that says right now 73% of traders are using a linear chart. But what I'm seeing when I'm looking at the experts and watching what people are, I'm trying to think of a couple of the names that I'm seeing use the linear chart a lot. Gareth Soloway has been, first of all, Gareth Soloway is everywhere. I would love to have him come on the show from time to time, but I think he has his own YouTube channel, but I don't ever see him on his own YouTube channel. I only ever see him on other people's channels. So he's putting in overtime. So I've seen him. There's a couple other names, and their names not coming to me, but very well respected traders.
Mm-hmm.
I watch their charts. They're using the linear chart. So if they're the big guys, if they're the ones that people are perceiving as the experts in technical analysis, and they're using linear charts, then I can only assume the masses that are watching them are using linear charts, which would lead me to believe. I have not seen a data point that says 73% of people are using linear charts, but I would imagine the number's probably pretty close. And it doesn't mean there's never a time to use log. And there's certain details, especially like when you're using, when you're looking at Fibonacci. I am a fan on a lot of these charts. Switch over to log chart to go look at Fibonacci levels. But when it comes to these lines, all these trends, I'm seeing a lot more people using trends on the linear chart than I do on the log chart.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here. And one of the big things that just happened is that the market just opened, the stock markets. And some of you may not follow the stock market at all. Well, you're in the right place because you're going to learn a little bit about that.
9:30 already. Holy
cow. The
cow.
markets open at 9:30. And what does that mean? Well, that means that a building in New York called the New York Stock Exchange, and I guess the NASDAQ, which doesn't really have as much of a building presence, they open up their bandwidth and they say, hey, we're now taking orders and we will match you with buyers and sellers. And so it's not like crypto where the exchanges are an app and they're all the time, that they're open all the time. You can just exchange them anytime you want. Stocks are really from 9:30 to 4. Obviously, we're not going to do shows that long, but we are now with this new time slot going to be live during the market open. So unlike today, which we're just kind of just goofing around and just kind of telling you guys what's up with this new channel, really celebrating, honestly.
Yeah.
There's no goofing around right now. But we're going to head over to my screen really quick. And what we're going to be looking at is just, I don't know if this is the way we're going to be doing it, but what I'm going to be doing is just kind of going through and showing you guys what's on my watch list and how it's opening. And it's, so let me just do that and show you. So this is natural gas. You guys, it's going to be interesting to see, how much, you guys want to get used to this, but, we lost my stream. That's weird.
What?
We lost my screen.
Your screen?
My screen doesn't want to, now everything's freezing. That's not good.
Oh no.
Not sure what's going on. Your camera's not freezing, but
yeah,
stuff was freezing. Not good. Well, I hope you guys can still hear us. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the system. Obviously, it is a new system, but it didn't like going over to my screen for some reason. Yeah, it's not liking my screen. Okay, well, we won't check the stocks this morning then.
Well, we can talk through them and we'll figure out why that's bugging.
Let me try to do it.
It wouldn't be an inaugural stream without technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
that's right. Yeah, it's just not liking mine.
Man, it is.
It's not liking my laptop at all. I'm not sure why, guys.
Is it fine with your camera?
Yeah, the camera's fine. That's on a different system, but yeah, I did a great intro for it.
Well, I mean, for those who are listening, they're at work or they're headed to work. You can coach them through it.
Yeah.
Play by play on the radio.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to figure that out. I'm not really sure. So we can go to your screen though. Do you want to pull up? What do you want me to do? See, you've got the section 1 on your watch list there.
What do you want?
Yeah, maybe just go through those and just kind of talk about, how the market's opening. Yeah.
I mean, again, I haven't been checking on these ones. This one right here, we got crude oil. Were you talking about crude oil when everything kind of went?
Natural gas. Yeah.
Well, we got here crude oil. Double bottom is the thing that I'm looking at here, which is nice. It's a good sign if you're trading the crude oil. Of course, we got two green candles coming off of that. Let's look at the oscillators right now. We are flashing. Again, if you guys don't have Luxalgo, or if you have been using it but you're still lost, it's not 100%. There's no indicator out there that's 100%. I'm loving the Luxalgo oscillator when it flashes these overbought, oversold signals. So that I call it a cloud. I don't know if that's what they call it. But these clouds right here, this green cloud, kind of matching with, not only do we have a double bottom, we're lower on the RSI, not quite bullish RSI divergence here on the daily chart. It is technically, I guess, bullish RSI divergence. This is what we would call weak bullish RSI divergence, and just so you guys know, by the name weak, it means it's not as strong as good one. I would have preferred if potentially this price had come down a little lower, and this RSI had stayed this way where these points ascended, but it didn't. So we did ascend in the RSI. The price bottoms had the candle body closed on the daily chart right about the same level. So this would be weak bullish RSI divergence. Oh look, we got Jeb in chat.
I think
What's up, Jeb?
Someone who appears to be Jeb. I mean, it could be. They have a little check, so
come on.
Looks like it might be Jeb there.
Wait, Jeb, are you going live this morning? I saw you have an interview with George going live.
Yeah.
Anyway, shout out to Crypto Jeb. Love seeing you in chat.
I think my screen's working now.
Well, I'll finish this one and then we can go back to you. So I love this oscillator we have going on right here. The other thing here's some points that I'd be interested in seeing. What do we bounce back to? And so for this one, I told you guys I'm gonna use the log chart for this one because I want to pull up my Fibonacci. We're gonna go from this peak that we have back here all the way to the wick. And right now, you're going to see we're kind of hesitating right around the 0.382 level. If you're a bear, if you're trying to short this, this is a point where you want to hold this 0.382. When you start getting back up towards 0.5, when you start going towards the golden pocket, that means the narrative is kind of switched and flipped a little bit. Doesn't mean you can't reverse there as well, but if they cannot hold this level right here on $80.89 and we start moving up, watch for 83 and then that golden pocket sitting at 85. That would mean there's some strong bulls. They really like this. Of course, we need to outdo this and set a higher high for the bulls to take full charge, but it's not irregular to bounce back up to the 0.236 level and the 0.382 level and keep your trend pretty strong. It's when you start losing those levels that you're like, all right, this is a more balanced attack than we thought. The bulls are starting to gain some strength. So keep your eyes what's happening there on crude oil. I'll throw it back over to Tshroom so he can break down other charts he's loving on the stock market.
Absolutely. Very well done, Tim. So, so what I like to do is I like to kind of organize my watch list by energy, and then I'll look at whoa, that scrolled fast, indexes. So we've got this is the futures contracts for the SPY, the ES minis, and then you've got the SPY. And if you take a look, I mean, the markets are basically opening up slightly mixed with the Dow lagging the most. So there's three main stock indexes. There's the S&P, there's the NASDAQ, and the Dow. And these are stock indexes that basically bracket the entire market, and they try to mimic what the entire market is doing. And each one of them has a little bit of a different quirk, a little bit unique. The Dow Jones is the oldest. The S&P is kind of the average of the three, and then the NASDAQ is seen as kind of the newest, and it has the most tech companies. And it is the one that Bitcoin actually mimics the most because how many more risk assets it has, more like large tech companies, which you may not even consider large risk assets. But going back to my chart, so you can see, so kind of the Dow, which has more industrial names, it has more energy names, meaning it just has more companies in its index that are invested in things like more of a traditional economy, not so tech forward, but it still does have some big tech names like Apple and Microsoft and things like that. So moving down, SQQ and TQQQ, these are actually triple leveraged ETFs of the NASDAQ. So this is how, and we'll be learning a lot more about the triple leverage ETFs. This is how I trade the market up and down. And when I say the market, I mean just kind of these indexes on a day-to-day basis. So the NASDAQ, you can find triple leverage ETFs of the Dow and the S&P, but the NASDAQ is just kind of the one that I follow most closely. And it's going to move on different days for different reasons. Tesla's kind of been a big reason why the NASDAQ's been moving recently. And then you'll see, here's my my crypto watch list. Obviously, Bitcoin, they're topping out at the top, but also got some names maybe you're not as familiar with, maybe Atom or Cake down here. And then, during a regular day, we'd be kind of doing this pre-market, and then post-market and seeing how names are opening up. These are, this is misnamed. This should be metals. So this is metals, and what is metals? So metals is steel, which isn't really considered a precious metal, but I've got it in here. And then I've got gold. This is the gold spot price, 1700. And then you've got the silver spot price. And then you've got two more triple leverage ETFs that do up and down of the silver price. So ZSL is a triple leverage inverse ETF of silver. So let's take a look at kind of what I've been doing with this. So I'll look at the spot price. And this is the hourly chart. You'll notice I'm not doing really too much analysis on it right now, but I've just got some lines drawn for silver, and you'll see that, it's kind of trending right in here. It may actually be better to look at it on a line chart. So you kind of see it's been flirting with these lines, trying to push forward in this overall range that it's been in for a while, kind of tracking in here. And so I've been just trading I've faded these, meaning I shorted. I went into ZSL. I bought it, and you can, that's how you can basically short things in the market without having to do options. So I faded it these times when it came up and touched this bar, and I faded it this time, and I actually lost a little bit of money because it didn't, as you can see, it didn't come down. I since have learned from that and made some changes, but you can see these ETFs are essentially the reverse. So this is the same. This is going to have the same price action as this silver spot price, just 3 times as much. And then ZSL is going to be the opposite. So it's going to have the reverse price action, and this might be a decent time to buy something like this in terms of just looking at it from a chart. All right. So going back, continuing just with my watch list here, then you just get into big tech, and you all know and love all these names. These are the triple leverage ETFs of these as a whole, FANG. Some of them aren't actually in there, but most of them are. Like Tesla's not a part of FANG, but and then you have bonds. Now we can pause here because this is actually really interesting. The Dixie's down, but the bond yields are up today. So that's actually that's not in agreement. These should be moving in the same direction. And they're not. I mean, I will point out, well, no, I mean, this is pretty decisively green for bond yields, and it's pretty decisively red for the Dixie, meaning, it's not quite up or down 1%, but it is in one direction pretty decisively down for the Dixie today. So that is more than likely because of what we're about to talk about with our news.
As far as Dixie, I don't know if you want to go on my screen real quick. There is something to keep your eyes on right here. Remember, I told you guys here a second ago when talking about Fibonacci. You can go back down to the 0.382 level. Not a big deal. Guess where the Dixie's sitting right now? It's sitting. If you go back down to the bottom that we had back here in May of 2021, we're sitting right at the 0.382 level where we've now double bottomed there. So again, not saying this is over and the Dixie has to climb back up, but right now, the few things you can do with charting the Dixie. It might not come back. It might come back down again, but I think there's a lot of support potentially for the Dixie to actually gain some more power here. We will see. A lot of that will have to depend on what Jerome Powell says today, a little bit later, and what happens there. But the good news for all of you crypto investors is if you're looking at these charts side by side, and you go, oh yeah, you're on my screen. We've been talking about, when I say we, this is a new channel, influencers have been talking about there will come a day. There will be a day. We don't know when, how, what it's going to look like. That crypto, specifically Bitcoin, but crypto as a whole, starts to split away from traditional finances. It hasn't hit yet. And there's been signs in the past where we start to think, oh, wait, is this it? And then it just reverts back. There are things happening right now that could play into the beginning of splitting off. At least this sense of like maybe the stock market, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, NASDAQ, maybe they have a little farther to go, but crypto has gotten close to its bottom. And it's going to, at best, just kind of ride that bottom, wait for the stocks to catch back up. So there are some good signs that even if there's more pain in the market for traditional finances, that crypto has come close to its bottom. Nothing is for certain, but keep your eyes. That's another thing we're going to be on watch, and it might take years still, but we're constantly going to be on watch. Will crypto split from traditional financing? Because those of you who understand Bitcoin, those of you who understand decentralized money, No, it is very, very, very different than traditional stocks. It's different than a lot of things, yet right now it's just being utilized and treated like a risky asset. So therefore, that's why it sticks with stocks and it stays in that realm. But there will be a day where the education gets to a point that it starts to split off. The question is when, not if.
Absolutely. And I would even say as well, regulation is a big thing to track for when Bitcoin and other cryptos are going to come off their peg with the NASDAQ. And it's really not a one-to-one peg. It's not at all. But, generally they've faced a lot of downward, pressure as well because of the Fed. And so, you kind of generally lump them together. But I see a chat here from Matt C. It says at Crypto Set Guy, at Shannon Sharp, at Tyler Main, at Crypto Alchemist, at Alex Green, and at Gia S. And that was not the chat that I wanted to read. But that is a very exciting chat as well. But Matt C., who's been a longtime fan of Tim and a good friend of ours, big fan of Tim. He's a friend. He's a friend of our. He's a friend before he's anything else. He said, "LFG, let's freaking go, investment bros. Congrats, Tim and Tshroom. So great to see you all, these beautiful people today. Muscle arm, muscle arm, muscle arm.
Proof that he's a friend. He's a friend, not a fan. Apparently 9 a.m. is too early for Matt C.
Yeah.
Which in California is 6 a.m. So he let us know. If anyone was like, "Where was Matt?" He let us know. 6 a.m. is early for him.
Yeah.
And so he's probably gonna be joining most times at 9:30 here, 6:30 his time. So that's still early.
Yeah.
But a fan would get up at 6 a.m.
That's right.
Friends, they just show up. So Matt is a friend.
Yeah.
Love him, but he's a friend.
Absolutely, he's a friend, and I'm a fan of him. And all right, so we are going to, if you're ready, Tim, shift into the news because we've got about 15 minutes left.
What time is it really? And we got to talk a little bit more. So
yeah, time is flying. So we're
gonna blow through these.
I'm gonna fly through
Yeah.
it. So we actually are just gonna go ahead and skip the international numbers today. The big story today, well, there's a couple, but so S&P futures are flat as Wall Street awaits Powell's speech on economy, and I've got some highlights here. Traders were hit with two reports Wednesday morning that caused volatility in stock futures. On one hand, a labor report signaled the job market could be cooling, raising hopes the Federal Reserve would slow its aggressive high rate hike. And on the other hand, an updated reading of the third quarter gross domestic product was released, and it showed the economy was stronger last period than first realized. So that was a revision of the GDP that showed some strength. So really mixed results from the numbers coming from the bureaus of economics and things like that. Powell will give a speech at the Brookings Institute, which is the Democratic think tank, in this afternoon. That may give further insight into the central bank's thinking on future interest rate increases. The Fed is slated to meet later this month and is largely expected to deliver a smaller 0.5% point rate hike after 4 consecutive 75% point increases to tame inflation. Any signal of a pivot on future rate hikes would likely send markets higher. This also is coming from us from CNBC. So this is what everyone's reading this morning, right? This is one of the biggest articles. So let's go ahead and see how the CME futures is responding. And they are much less bullish on that 50 basis point rate hike. Although that article, seemed to declare pretty definitely that it's going to be 50 basis point. The market, the CME futures, is still predicting it by a majority, almost 70%, but has definitely pulled back from that 80% that I remember seeing last week, and so that's been pretty significant. Guys, really quick, this is just kind of a cool map of how Asia closed. So Asia closed at 3 a.m. The Asian markets, the Shanghai Composite and the Nikkei and the Hang Seng.
Oh, cool.
And then also, if you go over to Europe, you can see how they are progressing. They close at 11:30. Obviously, it's not that time yet. So the FTSE closed up 1%, pretty decent. DAX, which is the German one, closed up, and so did the French. So it should be a bullish day today. The U.S. stock market should close green according to this map. Does not always follow that map, though. Slipping into the crypto news, did you have anything you wanted to say about those previous ones?
Well, no. So what I was going to say was, especially going back and we're looking at that Fed tool,
Yeah.
and people people are looking at this and saying, oh, can it please be 50 basis points? If what we're seeing from Elon Musk is true, and this one we'll have to dig into deeper on a different show, but Elon Musk is now saying, hey, he's pretty much telling Jerome Powell and the Fed, if we do not start cutting them now, it's going to be a severe recession. I think most of us agree that we're currently in a recession. Some people are holding out and saying it hasn't happened yet. What Elon's take here is that a recession is going to happen, but we can still prevent a severe recession, but the cuts need to begin now. And I don't think he'd be advocating for like a full point cut or like I think he'd be satisfied if we saw a 25 basis point cut. But his point here is he's saying if we don't start addressing this now, it is going to get very severe with that take. So I'd love to hear what chat thinks about that. What about you, Tshroom? What are your thoughts about Jerome Powell? I know a lot of people are almost acting like a 50 or 25 basis point rate hike would be a good thing. But if Elon's right, even sticking at 0 could be a bad thing. He's advocating for the month of December actually seeing a cut, not just a continuation or a pause. What are your thoughts there?
Well, my thoughts are evolving. My thoughts are transitory on the rate hikes. Right now, I'm kind of thinking that I need to see more data from inflation. We did see it tick down in the last print, which was nice, right? But I want to see at least one more data point that it's coming down, right? And I'd like to know exactly. I think we get another inflation print in December, so they're going to have to make the decision before they get the print. I believe. I could be wrong on that, but my bias would be don't cut yet. We need to see inflation come down. I know that that's the countervailing opinion because that's going to push equities lower. It's going to push crypto lower in theory. But I think we have to get a handle on inflation before we can cut rates. But I also disagree with the entire concept of a central bank. We don't need them anymore.
It'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to watch how that all plays out.
Yeah.
Let us know again. Let us know in chat. What do you guys think? And then afterwards, in the comment section below, what do you think Jerome Powell should do? Not that we get to vote here.
Yeah.
But it's always good to hear opinions.
Yeah.
Last thing I think we were going to talk about, we kind of mentioned the Brazil detail. I think that's the last one we have time for today.
Yeah. I can.
Yeah, go for it.
I can go for it. Yeah. So it looks like my screen is playing along here really well. So Brazil has not designated Bitcoin as legal tender, but it did the next best thing. It passed a law legalizing cryptocurrencies as means of payment throughout the country, giving a regulatory boost to the adoption of digital currencies and the expansion of the ecosystem. So getting a big thumbs up from the Brazilian regulators, but stopping short of making it legal tender. The law does not mention any dispositions regarding the issuance of a central bank digital currency. However, the country has already made significant progress in the matter. One of the most important aspects of the regulation is the obligation for service providers to separate their funds from those of their clients as a way to prevent a situation similar to that of FTX, where the exchange used its clients' funds for its own financial operations. So Brazil seems to be, kind of the undercurrent here is that they're kind of reacting here to the FTX event. And, this could signal that you might be seeing some movement from regulators in the U.S. Soon as well.
I would like that.
Yeah.
What I want to look more into, and this is what I try to do a little bit of investigating myself, and I'm not good at it. So if anyone has resources out there that could help me, I would love to know the stipulations in the regulation they're giving. Because it sounds good on paper, but, for example, the article that we were just reading, or an article, and maybe it wasn't that one, was talking about the penalty for fraud, right?
Yep.
And again, if there's true fraud, then there should be penalties. But my issue or potential issue would be if the regulation is so severe that things get flagged so easily, and could there be a loophole to almost just, we don't like these people, therefore we're going to say what they did was fraud using Bitcoin, and that'll be our excuse to arrest them. I'm not saying that's definitely what's happening, but I before we just rejoice and say, yay, there's good stuff, like, well, what are the details? I don't know exactly what the full details of that regulation looks like. I would love to know more about that in the future.
Yeah. So it stipulates the creation of a virtual service provider license, which is to be requested by companies, including exchanges and other crypto firms. So, and then it establishes a new crime of fraud involving virtual assets with a penalty of between 2 to 6 years plus a fine. So there's definitely a lot coming down the pike. Brazil's definitely showing a lot of their cards and how they want to go ahead and regulate crypto, which is, it's almost like the world's kind of waiting for the United States to kind of show how they want to regulate. They saw China just do a blanket ban on all crypto and mining. And, the world's just kind of like, well, if the U.S. isn't going to do it, and they're going to have, and our citizenry is going to be affected by companies like Celsius and companies like Three Arrows Capital and now FTX, we got to do something about it. We got to regulate. And so they're getting ahead of it. Meanwhile, Gary Gensler's, back in his lair, just watching the world burn and, collecting whatever incentives he's collecting for waiting so long to present clear regulation and free the markets. So Tim, there's something we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and we're gonna try to be as brief as possible. First of all, thank you so much, Tshroom, for helping us break down the news.
The show.
Little rush there. Just so you guys know, it's not like a hard stopping point at 10 a.m., but like because we have jobs, we're gonna talk about that here in a second as best we can. We might have to elaborate more tomorrow. Because we have to have other jobs going on, we're gonna be doing our best to get done by 10. I know Tshroom especially has to be running, so we're literally gonna end the stream. He's gonna close his laptop. We're not even going to break it down. He's just going to have to go. So here's the big thing that people have been asking. What happened? Like, what happened here a little over a month ago? I think it's a month and a half at this point.
Yep.
This is good stuff. I want to start off by saying none of what happened was easy on anybody. But I do think that what happened was a good thing long term. So for myself, I'm going to speak for myself, and if Tshroom wants to add anything for himself, he can do so. It was a hard decision. But the truth is, have you guys ever had something that you didn't want to do, and then something else occurred, and it kind of made the decision for you, and actually got you to where you needed to go in the first place? What I mean by that is months ago, like back probably closer to March, April, I had started praying and thinking and leaning towards, I thought that the season was coming to an end for me with Crypto Jeb. No hate, no animosity. I just felt like it was getting to a point where I was like, I don't know if this is where I'm going to be long term. It might be time for me to split and do something else. I had a job opportunity at the time. I ended up turning down, but I think at this point, what it really was is, again, what I say that, have you ever not wanted to make a decision that something is made for you? It probably would have been the right decision to leave at that time. I stayed. I loved the team. I loved Jeb, Tshroom, SMay. I loved every person we worked with. I loved you guys, the community that are over there with Crypto Jeb. That's what kept me around. And I think there's a lot of blessings that happen for it. But ever since March, April, I had been considering leaving anyway. And there were moments where it got really close to making a decision. But, I can't remember the exact month. But when Jeb announced, he, with all of his health issues, you guys just watched that, with stuff happening with his family, when he realized that he might need to take a leave of absence and asked me, hey, Tim, can you continue this? Can you do this for me? That to me was like, okay, there's a route here. Maybe I'll stay and do this and really stay with the community. I have my vision on how things go. I can do this. I want to support Jeb. I want to support the team. I want to support you guys, the community. So I ended up staying. Not necessarily because I felt like that's what I really should have done. Like, if I'm being honest with myself, I think in my prayer life, I probably wasn't really, really, really listening to God as much as I was doing what I felt like doing. And it was really painful to leave. But the decision kind of got made for me. Jeb came back and he talked with his leadership team and he said that he wanted to come back. He was ready to come back. And it just felt right. It just felt right. I took a vacation afterwards when he announced that and said, let me think about this. Went on a trip. Got to pray about it even more. And like I said, it was like one of those things that I probably should have done this a long time ago, but I'd had cold feet. Just so you guys know, my wife and I found out here a couple months ago, we're expecting. So we are going to be having a baby in May. And anyone who knows us knows.
Congrats.
In the same, one of the reasons my heart just is so broken for things that have happened to Jeb and his wife. They had multiple miscarriages. My wife and I have had multiple miscarriages. So it was really big news when I found that out. And even more so, it was like, I got to start making decisions to provide for my family. I didn't have insurance at the time. My wife didn't have insurance at the time. Having a baby is a big deal. It's grown-up life. You got to start thinking about a lot of details. So it was one of those things. I was like, man, do I stay with my community and do I stay with this team or do I start making decisions for my family? And the decision kind of got made for me. It was a perfect opportunity. Jeb's coming back. He can carry the community. He can do his thing. I can leave and find another job and get the support. By the way, I have another job, but that's, why it's Joe's early in the morning and not in the middle of the day. Someone asked earlier, are we going to be going live here at 1:30 or 12:30 when Jerome Powell talks? No, because we have other jobs. We got to do both, Tshroom and myself. But it was a perfect opportunity because I knew you guys would be in good hands with Jeb. I'm so excited to see Jeb back on camera. That's where Jeb belongs. Like, ever since I've known Jeb, he just lights up on camera for you guys. He talks about crypto so well. He's such a smart guy. I'm so glad for him, for the team that he has there. They're going to do great things. It was just time for me to go ahead and move on. And the only reason why I have this channel here is because the phenomenal job that God blessed me with, it gives me freedom to be able to do a morning show, and Tshroom's job as well. And so we're going to be doing morning stuff, maybe some time shooting some evening stuff. But we do have other full-time jobs that are paying the bills for us and keeping it going. But I just loved you guys so much. And that was part of this process too, is praying, hey, what's the next job for me? And also, is there any way for me to stay in the community? Because I love crypto. I love you guys. And God is just so good because he blessed me to be able to walk away, to have a job to provide for my family, and at the same time still try to build something. And so that is what happened. Love you guys. We love Jeb. If Jeb's still watching, love you. Maybe in the future we'll be able to collab some and get Jeb on this channel. We'll go on Copying Crypto or back to Crypto Jeb. Would love to do that. So that is what happened. Yeah, I mean, it's that simple.
Well said, Tim. And it is 10 o'clock, so we'll be checking out. But that's pretty much my my view as well. Things happen in life, and I see a lot of respect in the chat. There's a lot of people that get it. Perhaps those are more adult, more mature people who understand how life goes sometimes. And so I think there's enough people out there who get it, and are just excited to see what's happening in the future. That's where I'm at. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. And, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And
I would say smash the like button, but we have more likes than we have viewers. So if you haven't, smash it. But we'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Join us. I might put out a short little phone video this evening. Not promising it yet. Got to see what I have to do the rest of the day. But we love you guys, and we're going to be here. Super excited about the future. We will see you guys tomorrow.